Hi there, and welcome back to CSEC English B Paper 2 Solutions with Miss Athalie. Today we will be looking at Section A, Drama. This is what Section A looks like. You are given two choices, but you only have to write one essay. The first choice is The Tempest by William Shakespeare, and the second is Teja and His Brothers by Derek Walcott. Today we'll be going to the forest with Derek Walcott, Teja and His Brothers. Please keep in mind that this play is for the students who will be writing the exam this year in 2022. If you're writing the exam after that, your plays are Twelfth Night and Anansi. So you can still stay to learn some of the techniques for writing a very good essay, but you will not have to write about Teja and His Brothers if you're doing the exam next year, 2023 and beyond. So, Derek Walcott, he is a St. Lucian and he won the Nobel Prize in Literature. Now, I've seen some badly written essays on the internet claiming that the setting of the play is a forest in Trinidad. That is not correct, okay? It represents St. Lucia. This is a St. Lucian play, and the setting is in St. Lucia. Okay, let's move on. So this is our question, and I have highlighted the different parts. Let us keep in mind that you will always be given a quote or a statement at the beginning, and this is what you're going to consider. In here, you're going to get your theme, and you will know exactly what you're supposed to be writing about. And I've highlighted the three different sections that you have to consider, but we're going to break it down some more in the next slide. So first, we have our statement. Teja and His Brothers may be seen as a dramatic portrayal of the value of patience and humility. Write an essay in which you describe two situations in which a character demonstrates whether or not he is patient or humble. So now we know that we have to choose one character and we have to think of two situations in which they demonstrate whether or not they are patient or humble, right? So you should already be brainstorming and thinking about which character you'd like to focus on. Then what do you have to do? Discuss the consequences of the character's actions in one of the situations. So it has to be one of the two situations which you have mentioned. And next, as usual, every single time, you're going to be asked to talk about a technique. So examine one technique used in the play to portray the value of patience or humility. So I would always advise you to learn your techniques before going into that exam, because if you leave this section out, you're not going to get a very good grade. So what do we do next? We brainstorm. My favorite part. So you have a whole page here on your script, which is just for making notes. Then I would advise you to write your plan here. Please don't start writing the essay without making a plan. You need to get all your thoughts on paper. Write all your ideas, and this will definitely help you to write a clearer, more organized, a very well-structured essay. This is my favorite technique. I like to draw a cloud and put my theme in the middle. So we're looking at the dramatic portrayal of the value of patience and humility. And then I will write my ideas all around. So first, the character that I'm going with is Goja. Goja is neither patient nor humble, right? And I want to focus on patience because it did tell us we should choose either patience or humility. So I'm going to go with patience. How does he demonstrate that he is impatient? Situation 1, he is rude to the animals. He's trying to get somewhere and he has no regard for them at all. Situation 2, he eventually snaps at the planter for pronouncing his name incorrectly. He had no patience with the planter. So we already have our ideas for the first part of the essay. So we move on to the next. Consequences. I'm going to focus on the consequence of situation 2, snapping at the planter. What happens? His anger is evident, thus causing him to lose the challenge. He is killed. Goodbye, Goja. Finally, the technique. Used to portray the value of patience or humility. We have folk wisdom and folk culture. So once you have all your ideas on paper, you know exactly how your essay is going to be organized, then you can begin to write. But I'm going to show you what your essay should look like. So you should have at least 5 paragraphs. You can have 6 if you want to split up part 1 into situation 1 and situation 2. If you just decide you're going to write one long paragraph, your markers are not going to be impressed with you. So please try to organize your essay. I will post a video later on the mark scheme, and you will see that you're actually given marks for organization. And this is so easy, so you don't want to lose those marks. So we'll have our introduction, and then in part 1, we'll speak about situation 1 and situation 2. Then the consequences of situation 2, the technique, and the conclusion, right? Easy. Right, so once we know how we're going to do this, we write. That is step 3, write. And then, do we just close that booklet and say, I'm finished? Nope. We have to proofread. Read through that essay from top to bottom and ensure that you have used your full stops wherever they need to go, commas, apostrophes, all your punctuation marks. And you can also check for spelling errors, grammatical errors, all of that. It's very important. You need to do that. And so, this is what our essay looks like, but I will take it apart bit by bit. So, I put the question on the top, and I've highlighted the 3 different parts to show you that we must mention each part of the question in the introduction. It's very important for organization purposes. So you can see I've added them in order. We have the yellow, the pink, and the blue. So it goes, patience and humility are both important characteristics humans should possess if they aspire to become successful. Teja and his brothers may be perceived as a dramatic portrayal of these values, and characters who lack them do not fare well. Goja is one such character who demonstrates a lack of patience. This lack of patience is observed after he has left his mother's house and while he works for the planter. So you see, I have described the 2 situations briefly. We're not going to elaborate here because this is the introduction. Next, the consequence of his impatience is detrimental and eventually leads to his death. Derek Walcott uses folk wisdom and folk culture to portray the value of patience. So again, you're going to mention every part of that question in your introduction in order. And it's the same order in which you're going to discuss those points in your essay. So we're going to move to the first point about the 2 situations. The first situation in which Goja demonstrates that he is impatient is when he leaves home. His protective mother advises him to respect the animals and to ask them for advice. She also tells him to be careful because the devil can appear in many forms. He rudely replies, "Mama, I know all that already." However, he proudly leaves home and immediately neglects his mother's advice. In his haste to arrive at his destination, he kicks the frog and refers to it as a slimy bastard. He then proceeds to disrespect the other animals, who quickly get out of his way. If he had exercised a little more patience like his brother Teja, the animals may have provided the valuable advice necessary for his safety and survival. So that is the first situation. Next one. Goja also demonstrates his impatience with the planter. He feels like he is being overworked by the damn white man, and he needs to take a break. The planter informs him that lunch is over, then deliberately calls him by the wrong names. Goja reacts negatively to being called Mac, Gauchien, Charlie, Joe, and numerous other names, as he finds this extremely offensive. And for our non-Creole speakers from other parts of the Caribbean, chien actually means dog. So the planter actually called him Big Dog. Moving on, his identity is important to him, but the planter does not care. Gauja tries his best to remain calm and patient, while the planter explains the importance of his work. However, his temper eventually gets the best of him. He becomes so angry that he smashes his pipe. Moving on to part 2, which is short because it's very simple. Gauja's lack of patience causes him to lose the challenge quite quickly. He becomes increasingly annoyed that the planter refuses to call him by the proper name. He is so blinded by his own arrogance that he does not realize this is simply the devil's tactic to ensure that he loses the challenge. When it is clear that Gauja has become angry, the devil eats him for dinner. Right, so the consequence? You're dead now, Gauja. Part 3. Walcott uses folk wisdom and folk culture to portray the value of patience. The instruments, sounds, and chants enhance the setting. From the prologue, the animals are the storytellers and are central to the development of the plot. The elements of storytelling, such as the call and response, Greek croak, mimic the crick-crack chanted before Caribbean stories. The animals also possess wisdom which the humans do not. When Gauja treats them unkindly, it signals to the audience that he will probably face difficulties along the way. He is too stubborn and impatient to listen to them. Finally, we conclude. We recap the main points, but we do not include any new points or information. Keep it short and sweet. So, the play, Tija and His Brothers, includes both characters who possess and lack patience and humility. Gauja lacks both of these qualities and eventually deals with the negative consequences. Folk wisdom and folk culture help to portray these values effectively. And here we've come to the end. Wasn't that easy? If not, keep at it. Keep watching the videos. Keep doing your past paper questions. You have a few months left before that exam. So please take advantage of every minute that you have. Next week, we will be looking at another question. I believe this is from the May 2019 paper. Audiences find the play Tija and His Brothers appealing because it reflects the Caribbean experience. So you can already start brainstorming, and I will try to upload a video about this one next week. Thank you for coming and see you next time. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to post them below. I will do my best to reply. Goodbye.